In 1901, a single signature created a company so enormous that it stunned the world. It wasn't an act of Congress or a military conquest. It was a Wall Street deal brokered by one man who believed America's future could be forged in steel. One man sat down at a table and quietly changed America without firing a single shot. There were no cheering crowds, no battlefield victories, and no grand speeches. Just ink drying on paper as a deal worth more than $1 billion came to life, an almost unimaginable sum for its time. Behind that signature stood towering furnaces, smoking rail yards, fortunes built overnight, and workers whose sweat fed an industrial giant. The architect was John Pierpont Morgan, the banker many believed could control the nation's future from a Manhattan office. His target was the empire of Andrew Carnegie. Together, their bargain would create United States Steel and spark a question that still echoes today. When one corporation becomes larger than imagination itself, who is really in control? The government or the men who own the steel? By the end of the 19th century, America was booming, but beneath the optimism lay financial chaos. Railroads collapsed, banks failed, and investors watched fortunes evaporate with frightening speed. In the middle of the storm stood John Pierpont Morgan, a man whose influence reached far beyond Wall Street. He rarely sought the spotlight, yet when businesses teetered on the edge of ruin, executives traveled to his office hoping for salvation. Morgan believed ruthless efficiency was better than reckless competition, and he used his wealth to consolidate struggling industries into powerful combinations. To supporters, he was the steady hand guiding American capitalism. To critics, he was becoming something far more unsettling, a private citizen with the power to shape markets, rescue corporations, and influence the destiny of a rapidly industrializing nation. The stage was set for the boldest move of his career. While financiers battled over stocks and railroads, another revolution was blazing inside America's steel mills. Every mile of railroad track, every soaring bridge, and nearly every new factory depended on a metal that could withstand staggering pressure. No one mastered that business better than Andrew Carnegie. Rising from humble beginnings, he built an industrial empire by embracing new technology, cutting costs, and relentlessly expanding production. His mills thundered day and night, pouring rivers of molten steel that helped transform the nation into an economic powerhouse. Competitors struggled to keep pace as Carnegie accumulated immense wealth and influence. Yet after decades of dominating the industry, whispers spread that the Steel King was growing tired. If he ever chose to sell, only one man possessed the resources and ambition to buy what many considered the most valuable industrial empire on Earth. The meeting that changed history did not unfold beneath flashing cameras or before a packed audience. It began with quiet conversations and a simple question. What would it take for Andrew Carnegie to walk away? Legend holds that Charles M. Schwab helped open the door, convincing John Pierpont Morgan that Carnegie might finally be ready to sell. When the price was written down, Morgan scarcely blinked. He accepted a figure so enormous it stunned the financial world, roughly $480 million for Carnegie's holdings, part of a broader merger that would exceed $1 billion in value. It was less a negotiation than a transfer of industrial power. With a few signatures, the age of the lone steel baron gave way to something even larger, a corporation designed to dominate an entire industry and redefine the limits of American business. When the paperwork was complete in 1901, the business world struggled to comprehend what had just happened. By combining Carnegie's mills with a web of other steel companies, rail interests, and manufacturing operations, John Pierpont Morgan created United States Steel, the first corporation in history valued at more than $1 billion. It controlled vast mines, fleets of ore ships, sprawling factories, and enough production capacity to influence prices across the nation. Newspapers hailed it as a triumph of American industry, while skeptics warned that no private enterprise should wield such extraordinary power. To many citizens, the company seemed less like a business and more like an empire, with smokestacks instead of castles. Its steel would soon frame bridges, factories, and skyscrapers, but its unprecedented size also ignited fears that competition itself was slowly disappearing. As United States Steel expanded, Americans began asking a dangerous question. Could any corporation become too powerful? Farmers feared unfair prices, small businesses complained they could not compete, and reformers warned that industrial giants were accumulating influence once reserved for governments. Into that debate stepped Theodore Roosevelt. Unlike many of his predecessors, Roosevelt believed that some trusts deserved close scrutiny and, when necessary, legal action. His administration pursued antitrust cases against several massive corporations, earning him the nickname Trust Buster. Although U.S. Steel often presented itself as a more orderly and stable enterprise than its rivals, it still became part of the national conversation over monopoly power. The clash revealed a defining tension of modern America: how to encourage extraordinary economic growth without allowing wealth and influence to eclipse democratic institutions. As the 20th century unfolded, the products of United States Steel spread across the nation like iron veins beneath the landscape. Its beams supported soaring skyscrapers, its rails carried trains across thousands of miles, and its steel plates strengthened factories, bridges, and ships that connected America to the world. Cities expanded upward at a breathtaking pace, with places like New York City and Chicago becoming monuments to industrial ambition. Yet behind every glowing blast furnace stood workers enduring punishing heat, dangerous machinery, and exhausting shifts. For many immigrant families, the mills offered opportunity and hardship in equal measure. The same steel that built fortunes also demanded sacrifice, reminding the nation that its rapid rise rested not only on brilliant financiers and bold entrepreneurs, but on countless laborers whose names rarely appeared in history books. The story of John Pierpont Morgan and United States Steel is not simply about money. It is about scale, ambition, and the moment America discovered that private enterprise could rival the power of nations. The billion-dollar corporation Morgan assembled reshaped finance, industry, and the very skyline of the country, leaving behind bridges, railroads, and towers that still stand generations later. Yet it also raised questions that remain unresolved. How much influence should any one company possess? When does efficiency become dominance? And who benefits when wealth concentrates into fewer hands? More than a century has passed, but those debates continue in boardrooms and capitals around the world. The furnaces have cooled, many of the names have faded, but the echoes of that extraordinary deal still ring through modern America. On the dusty ledger, history is never just buried. It is waiting beneath the next layer of dust.